Hi, everybody. JB here again, back with episode 15 of my Did You Ever Wonder series. Today, I wanted to talk about what happened to that great old house or building, as in, did you ever wonder about it? And again, like all my topics lately, there would literally be almost no end to these, so I've just chosen some. Anyway, my title slide here, I just wanted to show you you can see that's Collier Drug at the corner of St. Charles and Dixon. And look at that great monstrous it was once Cumberland Presbyterian and Central Presbyterian Church, a monolithic structure and an incredible thing. It's where our post office is now, which was opened in 1963. But isn't that an amazing old church? You couldn't get rid of that one very easily, I doubt. With no small wind going to blow that over. Okay, so let's start with the Archibald Yale's home, Waxhaws. These are places that were here and they're gone. And I find them interesting or beautiful or whatever. And I think this was a beautiful old home of its type from the 1840s, actually built in 1835, 36, really. Home of Archibald Yale, second governor of Arkansas. And it was torn down between September 1962, and March of 1963. That's as close as I can pin it. I don't have the exact date. I wanted to show you this is, by the way, it's set on the hill. Just if you're at the senior center down on South College, if you came out the front door and turned to the left, there's a little hill there. Waxhaw set right on that little knoll right there to the north of the senior center. And if you go up there, you can see the senior center in this picture below, you'll see these stone steps. They actually lead right directly to where that front door was. So if you walk over there, where those shrubs and stuff are, is basically where the house was. So if you ever get a chance to go down there, that'll give you a little piece of history there. The next place I want to talk to that's long gone is the Cushionberry Hill home. It was built in the mid 1850s, which I'm going to talk about some more at different times. It was probably anything done in the 1850s was possibly and probably done by George Baker. He was kind of like the leading builder at that time. Anyway, this was the home of William Cushionberry. I've talked about him before. He was a newspaper man, artist. He had the Southwest Independent here, a newspaper from 1854 to 1858. And then later, General Daniel Harvey Hill lived in this home. And Hill, who was a Confederate general, was the fourth president of the Arkansas Industrial University, which became the U of A, as I've told you before, in 1899. Now, I say fourth president, you could call him the third because Noah Gates actually was like first and third, but so he's either third or fourth, however you want to call that. Anyway, that was torn down in the 1960s, and here's now that Cardinal Apartments over there now. And if you look down here, you can see a plaque, and that plaque is to the house where the Cushionberry Hill home right there to commemorate it. It's on Duncan Avenue, just before you get to Center. If you're going north, it's on the west side of the street. Okay, and then the third one that's gone, and this may be near and dear to a lot of you. It certainly was to me. Fayetteville High, the original Fayetteville High, built in 1908. The north and south annexes were built in 25 and 27. Respectively, built by Albert M. Burns, so I'm going to mention many times in the course of this stuff. If you guys remember, I went to junior high here. Like I said, this was Fayetteville High at the time. On that third floor, they had the largest study hall I've ever seen in my entire life. It was gigantic. Anyway, it became Fayetteville Junior High in 1953 when they opened the new Fayetteville High. I'm going to talk about the schools in an upcoming one. And it just so happened in my ninth grade, 1959-60, that's exactly when they opened Woodland Junior High School, and Fayetteville Junior High School became Hillcrest Junior High School. So it's kind of convenient. I happened to be there at the time, and it was exactly when I was in ninth grade. This building unfortunately burned down in 1969 and was replaced by Hillcrest Towers. And that building is too beautiful. I don't want to show you what replaced it, because I like to remember that. And here's a fun one for me. This is up at the University of Arkansas. This was a building called Schmidts Barn. It has an interesting history. It had been an automobile show show building, whatever word I'm going to look for there, display on Meadow Street. I think it was owned by J. Fulbright, of Senator J.W. Fulbright's father, Roberta Fulbright's husband, the man who actually built the Fulbright Empire. Anyway, they bought it and relocated to the University of Arkansas. And one of the fun things about it is that the room wasn't quite long enough. It was a couple of feet short of regulation, which I find amusing. Anyway, it operated up there from the 20s through the 30s. They got the men's gym in 1938, I believe it was. Anyway, the other fascinating aspect of this, oh, by the way, it's called Schmidts Barn because of Francis Schmidt, who was the University of Arkansas basketball coach from 1922 to 1928. The thing that old Fayetteville guys like me will find interesting is after this thing was taken apart, or at least a portion of it was taken over to what was then the Fayetteville High School, our junior high school, people my age. It became Root Gym. So we didn't even know it. We had no idea that we were playing basketball and dodgeball and all the stuff you do in wrestling, all the stuff you do in PE inside Schmidts Barn, renamed Root Gym. I just love that history of how it went from place to place. And let me show you a little bit here on the campus. This is a modern shot. This dark one, that's Old Main right there. If you go straight through, that's the library. Go through Vol Walker, that's the architecture building, through the library, onto the mall, and there's the Union. So the Schmidts Barn, I'm going to show you in a second, was located right in this area. And here's an old aerial view from 1926, kind of hard to tell. And down here is Old Main in this picture. If you take it straight through, it goes a little above Schmidts Barn. I think that's Buchanan Hall, I believe. Anyway, this is Schmidts Barn down here, and there's that track. So that picture that we just saw in the previous one was taken from this angle right about here to right there. So it's right smack where the Union is now. That's where it was. So that's Schmidts Barn. And I love that kind of forgotten thing like that. Almost nobody remembers Coach Schmidt, and almost nobody knows about Schmidts Barn. But now we do, don't we? Okay, and the last one I want to do here is the Arkansas building. I think I mentioned this maybe before. It was originally at the St. Louis World's Fair in 1904, part of the Arkansas area. And A.F. Wolf, who I mentioned before, Artemus Floyd Wolf, wealthy man in town, young man in town, paid Albert Burns, the great builder, to take that apart piece by piece at St. Louis and reassemble it up on Mount Nord off of Mock Street there, I mentioned again before, directly across the street from the Fulbright home. And he lived in it for a long time, and then I told you he died young. And it was allowed to just fall apart, if you can believe that. There was a campaign to save it, but it failed. And they allowed it to just deteriorate. And it was torn down in April of 1939. And the one, I don't have a picture here of, but on one of my earlier videos, I showed you on Locust Avenue between Dixon and Spring on the east side of the road, about midway in between. What I believe, and Bob Beeson, who I trust, a good historian here, believes those are part panels from the old Arkansas building are used in a retaining wall there, which is fascinating. You can go by there, I got numbers on them. I'm just certain that's what it is. And anyway, so that's the Arkansas building. So this is a quick one, I hope, because I've been running a little long lately. This is a quick run through. Again, you can imagine in a town that's gone through the growth that we have, how many possible other ones we could talk about, all the homes that have been torn down, the buildings on the square that have been torn down, just all kinds of places that we could talk about. But anyway, that's just a quick look at some old homes and buildings that are long gone, and I kind of wish most of them were still here. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. Hope you found these somewhat entertaining and informative, and I'll talk to you soon with the next one. Bye for now.